Just got back from the machine shop, picked up the head. Everything's looking pretty good. They said they had to deck it quite a bit, but now we have a good surface and it looks pretty good. And I had the new head gasket sitting over there. That's how the car's looking right now. I cleaned up the top of the block. I didn't level it, but maybe I'll level it or check the level of it before putting the head on. But there's the head gasket. I got some new belts on the way. Timing belts right there. And what else? I put some LED headlights in here. I'll show those when it gets darker. And there's a new stereo inside. Got a new head unit. Also got some new door speakers. Some Rockford Fosgaties. Got them in the back too. And then I got my sub that I've had in like 3 cars now. There's all this stuff. I think I just bought it all on Amazon for like a few $100. But let's get to getting this head ready to install. Now I'm gonna degrease the surface. It's already been cleaned off, but hit it with some degreaser to get it extra clean without leaving any paper behind. This is definitely not a how-to video because I am not familiar with working on these cars, nor am I an expert. All I'm doing to learn this stuff is watch some YouTube, and I have the service manual. Yep, looks pretty clean to me. I think Honda engines are pretty forgiving too. Let's come back over here and get these dowel pins back in the head. And now we can drop the head on the block. And now that we got the head on there, I'm gonna go ahead and get the head studs cleaned up and start dropping those in. And the head bolts, cam caps, and cams are looking real dusty. Gotta get them real cleaned up before they go back on the car. Bolts are all cleaned up, and this is how they're looking. Nice and clean. And we're gonna start getting some oil on them and then start torquing them down. And here's what I'll be using to oil the bolts. Just a little oiling can. Where'd I put the socket? Dude, I just had that socket. Oh, it's right there. Okay. Now I'm gonna start catching threads on all these head bolts. That way I can get the impact on there, drive them in a little bit, and then get a torque wrench out and start the torque sequence. Just gonna snug them down. Alright, now that they're snugged down, I'm gonna get the torque wrench out and start doing the torque sequence. And I have the torque sequence right here on my laptop. So the first round of torque is 22 foot-pounds. Okay, first round is done. 22 foot-pounds. Now it says tighten the same sequence to 61 foot-pounds. So let's get this thing to 61. Okay, 61 foot-pounds. Wow. Cool, now I'm gonna do some reading and see what the next steps are. According to the manual, the next steps are to install the intake and exhaust manifold, but I'm still waiting on new gaskets. Even though I probably don't need them, I'm just putting on new ones because I already ordered them with the new belts. So I'm just gonna clean these rockers and then get them dropped back in there, and then get the cams cleaned up. And actually, I'm waiting on new seals for the cams too, so we'll see. Alright, so boom, got those things cleaned up, looking real purty in there. And I just went to Honda and I picked up these cam seals. Super expensive. There's the part number in case you don't know what Google is. I paid it's like $15 each to buy from Honda, but I could have bought them anywhere else in the world and spent like a few cents. So let's get the cams cleaned up and get them ready to drop in. The cams are all pretty now, and there's the new cam seals on the end. Now I'm just gonna drop some oil on the area where the cams sit. So let's drop a little bean right there. Now we can take the cams. It's very convenient. They have the intake and exhaust on there. So we'll take the exhaust cam and we will drop it in there. Sweet. Then the intake cam. Boom, we got cams in. Now I gotta get these cam caps all cleaned up. So much cleaning today. Cam caps are now clean and they're just sitting on there right now. I'm about to apply some sealant to this exhaust cam cap. Goes right here. Oh, sorry. Goes right there. Gonna put some sealant on there. And then, similar to what I did on my Subaru head, we have to apply some sealant to the surface right here, and then the same thing on the cam gear side. Alright, now I have the end of the cam caps sealed on both sides, and all the bolts are all snug down. Well, they're kind of snug. I'm gonna start torquing down these cam caps to, what is it? I think it's 9.8 Newton meters or 7 foot-pounds. And then after we get the cam caps tightened, I believe I'll be getting the gears on. I think I'll have to refer back to the manual. Now these don't have a torque sequence. Oh, this is the wrong size. These don't have a torque sequence, so I'll just be doing them in no particular order. Okay, the cam caps are now tightened. Now it's about time to get the timing belt installed, and to hold the timing belt on, I'm using a 4.5 mil and a 4 mil Allen key T-handle. That way it goes through this hole here and then stakes into the cam to hold it in the upright position. And these are being torqued to 27 foot-pounds. So I finally got the freaking timing belt on. I don't know why this was like so difficult for me to do, but I had to like take a break off of it because I was getting pretty upset. But the timing belt is finally on. Tensioner is tightened. The crank pulley is on there. It's not torqued yet, but it's on. And so now I'm gonna get that crank pulley torqued, and after that, oh yeah, all the new belts came in, and these hubs for my Prius, the exhaust gasket, intake gasket, valve cover gasket, and everything. So as long as everything goes smooth, this thing, or the engine, should be put back together pretty soon. With the new timing belt installed, I did some rotations of the crank to make sure that after each rotation, everything came back to top dead center. And unfortunately, I cannot torque the crank pulley bolt yet, and I just ordered the tool T. I ordered the tool to hold the crank pulley in place so I can torque it. I did buy a new torque wrench, but I didn't realize I would need that crank pulley holder. I should have known after dealing with the Subaru, but now I'm going to move on to setting the valve clearance. And I already have all the rockers set super loose from when I installed the cams and caps. So all I'll be doing is tightening it up to spec for each valve. And for the intake valves, we're going to go with a 5 thousandths gap. And we're starting off with cylinder 1. So that's a snug 5 thousandths on both sides. And we can get the 12 mil tightened down. So it's 18 foot-pounds to torque these down. I'm going to snug them and then tighten them. That way I don't lose the adjustment. I'm not going to record myself doing every valve. Just want to do the first one. Now I have the valve clearance done and everything is all torqued down. Gonna move over to the valve cover right here and get the valve cover and hardware cleaned up and get it all ready to install. Here's the valve cover all cleaned up. It actually looks pretty good minus the paint chips. And as I was blow drying it with the compressor, it started like peeling off a lot more paint. Eventually I will repaint this, but not until I do like a full rebuild on the engine. Just gotta clean up the hardware and then we'll get the gaskets and stuff ready to go. Got the gasket in the valve cover along with the spark plug gaskets. And then on each cam cap, in these little corners, I put some RTV on each side. And now we can get the valve cover on. Now we got the valve cover on. It's starting to look pretty good in the engine bay, considering the head has been off since April. So yeah, valve cover is back on, everything torqued down, looking nice and clean. And I just put the intake manifold on, threaded on a couple nuts. It's getting kind of late, so I might just do a couple more bolts on the intake manifold and then start cleaning up my tools. While I'm in the mood, I got the exhaust manifold bolted on, and I ended up picking up a heat shield from the junkyard, so I'm gonna slap that on too. And this is how it looks with the heat shield on the exhaust manifold. And now that it's about 10 o'clock, I will wrap it up for the night, and I'll get back out here at some point tomorrow. Today I've been absolutely grinding on this thing all day. I got the intake manifold on, I got the new motor mounts on, the one down there, can't see it, and then the one on this side, right down there. And man, yeah, I've been really at it today. Got everything up top connected, all the new belts are on, all the accessory belts, pretty much everything is ready to go. I need to get new torque mounts that go on the side up here, on both sides. No stores in town had them, so I have to order them and wait for it to come to Wednesday. I wanted to do the first start today, but I still need to get that crank pulley tool. But yeah, I just picked up some coolant, so at least I can pour some coolant in here, get it all filled up, ready for its start. Can't lie, I got a little excited, and I tried to distract myself all day with not starting this thing. Even took the bike out for like an hour-ish ride earlier. But when I got back, I was just like, you know what, let's get it started. Because it's not so bad that the crank isn't torqued or that the lower left torque mount is not on. So I was like, you know what, let's start it. And it started first try. And it sounds awesome. Nice and smooth and not sputtery anymore. So let me give you guys a peek. Sounds very, very happy. Those solid motor mounts doing what they do best. Looking good with the LED headlights. I think there might be a small coolant leak under the intake manifold, but I'll take that over a bad head gasket. That rattling you hear is just the speaker, or some kind of bracket near the speaker. Oh, I didn't know there's a light missing on the left tail light. But yeah, finally running. This would be a good update. Just got back from taking it up and down the block a couple times, and it's pretty solid. I obviously didn't get on it because I had to torque the crank pulley still and get that front left lower torque mount, but it moves under its own power. No check engine lights. Probably have to adjust some timing. I did put the distributor back to its original spot. Not sure if that was the best spot for it, but I had it marked right there. That way at least it was in a state that would let it run. Glad to finally see this thing up and running.